Welcome back to not just another episode of the White Sox March to October, but a brand new season. That's right, guys. After 3 straight World Series wins, a three-peat, the first three-peat since the year 2000, and we're looking to once again defend that title and make it 4 straight. And we have the means to do it too. We come into opening day here on year 4. The team is still ranked first overall, and that's even after cutting back a little bit on free agency, losing key players like Eloy Jimenez and Andrew Vaughn, but we've built up such a good young core of guys that not only are we still starting the year ranked first overall, but we're probably going to continue getting better. All right, and I know what I probably titled this episode, and believe me, we're going to get to it. We are going to get to maybe the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a March to October, and that's saying something. But for right now, we're going to focus on picking up an opening day win against the division rival Cleveland Guardians, and we'll save all the roster talk for post game, but yeah, there's gonna be something to talk about. Now, I do find it funny. I don't know how much of the opening day presentation I let play, if I cut it, if I talked over it, but when they were showing our like projected stat leaders and it was all Vlad Jr. except for Luis Robert for stolen bases and WAR, the commentators were talking about how like this season, oh, we're trying to repeat as champs, and no team has repeated as champs since the Yankees did it, which was also the last three-peat. So it's nice to know the game doesn't even acknowledge the fact that we've won the last 3 titles instead of just the last title. I don't know. It's way too early for me to get all salty about the game, but trust me, I keep alluding to it, but you guys will see what's got me so frustrated with this March to October going into year 4. But again, like I said, for now, the focus is on picking up a win, beating these Cleveland Guardians. We've got a 0-0 game. We've got 4 innings to do it. And bottom line, I am excited to see how our team plays this year. Like I said, if you missed the offseason, I had a bit of a different strategy just since our team was getting so good. Things were feeling so easy that instead of going out and having a big offseason, all I was allowed to do was pick 3 players to target at the beginning of the offseason, and then that was it. If they sign with me, then I get, new players. If they don't sign with me, then that's a slot that I lose in free agency. So I ended up only signing 2 of the 3 that I targeted, and they were both relief pitchers. So like I said in the intro, the 2 big losses, we lost Eloy, we lost Vaughn, but we've got, I would consider, some exciting young players to come up and replace both of them. We'll get to see some development. And that's always kind of, to me, what's the most exciting thing about playing multiple seasons. And, oh, I thought I was just going to casually strike out the side with Zach Gallen as I was talking about things, but no. Gabriel Arias has a little bit of fight in him. Oh, but he's taking off. Not what you want to do when you've got Jose Ramirez up at the plate with 2 outs. You don't want to run yourself out of the inning. All right, we got Francisco Mejia as my first batter I'm using here in the year 2027. And for now, the 2nd year in a row after signing him, he's it. He's the lone wolf. He's the only catcher on the roster, which is one of the roster things that I'm frustrated by. But we did look at that at the end of the offseason episode. We took a glance, at least, at the rosters. We didn't go in depth, and in depth is where I found the really dumb things. I keep alluding to it. I need to stop alluding to it. We're focusing on the game. I'm already letting things get to me. Oh, and that's, no, come on. I guess also I should mention here early on, just in case there's some new people hopping on for a new season, but this is on legend difficulty, and I think that strikeout pitch to Mejia kind of shows what we're in store for when it comes to legend difficulty, because that was a difficult pitch. Also, again, last thing about the rosters before we actually look at them after the game, but opening day rosters is like CPU defined, so this isn't the lineup that I'd normally have. I already adjusted it, at least I think I did. But typically, Nick Senzel won't be in the starting lineup against righties, but look at him go. Fluky little base hit there. I'll always take that. Oh, and then Fletcher's going to ruin it immediately by rocketing it into a double play. That's always the most fun. All right, man, we got to put up some runs for Gallen because he has not missed a beat since last postseason. He had one of the craziest stretches of postseason pitching performances I've ever seen. If I remember the stats correctly, he only made 3 starts because we swept the postseason. but he pitched 9 innings in all 3 starts. He had 27 innings in 3 starts in the postseason and like 45 strikeouts or something crazy like that. And there's another one sitting down J-Ram. And there's Colson Montgomery getting a chance at short. Oh, and of course he had to make contact, but that's still 7 shutout innings on opening day for Zach Gallen with 12 strikeouts. I don't know if I want to call it with him there. I think he still had a lot left in the tank. We'll see, though, because really the only new faces, like I said, are in the bullpen, and I kind of want to see at least one of them. There we go. There's my first good swing of the year. Austin Hayes with the perfect. Let's maybe not immediately hit into a double play now again. Oh, we got under it with Vlad. We got too far under it, actually, and it's not going to carry. For a second, I thought it had some carry, but no. That's realistic, though. Guaranteed right field in April. Ball's not really going to carry. Oh, Luis Robert, though, he might just be too strong for something not carrying to matter. And there we go. Just like that, our first runs of the season come off the bat of Luis Robert Jr. The more things change, the more things stay the same. This is a contract year for him. This is the last year that we're guaranteed to have him on this team, although I will say he's a priority for me to re-sign going into next season. And man, this dude is picking up where he left off last year too. Ezekiel Duran had a breakout season last year, was one of our best players, and if it wasn't for our whole lineup being crazy, he probably could have been a lot of teams' best player. But he got that potential up to an A, and I think progressed up to a 90 overall, which is the big thing. Well, that's a shame. That's Colson Montgomery's 3rd strikeout on opening day here. This is a dude I'm excited to get some regular playing time. We traded for him, I think it was back in year 2, and he got about 30-ish games played in year 2 and then again in year 3. And he's put up numbers when he's gotten the chance to play. So this year that he's going to have some consistent playing time, I'm excited to see what he does with a whole year's worth of at-bats. And that one's going to drop in. I'm going to send him with 83 speed. Might be a close play, but there we go. We're in. Colin Houck is doing it right away. Game 1, he's got an RBI base hit. Oh my God, and now the pitcher is losing it. I don't know why he's still in the game. That's one of the many issues with March to October is I feel like the manager doesn't quite know when to take out a pitcher because this dude should have been out of here probably after the Robert homer. Okay, well, and then right after I say that, he comes back and strikes me out to end the inning. Not before I took a 3-0 lead, though. And you know what? Gallen did have a lot left in the tank, but I want to see one of our new guys. Dustin May. He was actually the only new free agent that I signed of who I was going after, and I'm excited for him. Like, even though he's only a relief pitcher, I mean, you saw the numbers he put up last season for whatever CPU team he was on. I think it was the Cardinals. But he also has starter potential. I don't see the need to put him in the rotation just because as it is right now, we already have 6 starting pitchers for 5 spots, and that's not including him. But I always love a good long reliever. Tukey was great for us for years, and I know I'm not really bringing him into a long relief situation here, but I just wanted to see him. And there we go. And who knows, too, he doesn't have to be confined to being a long reliever. He could be like a back-end guy, and because he has such high stamina, that could probably translate into him being able to pitch like multiple days in a row instead of like, you know, having an outing and then needing some rest and then having another outing needing some rest. He might be able to give us like 3 outings in a row before needing some rest. It all depends on how the CPU uses him, though. I guess I don't really get a say in that. What I do get a say in is how many strikeouts I can rack up in his team debut. Oh, and we got him on a 3-2 count, so that's 3 strikes out the side in his debut. That's the first 3 of many. Oh, and Senzel? No, I didn't get enough of that. Oh, man, I wasn't even close. It was a solid swing, but wow. Oh, and Fletcher, same deal. Not nearly enough of that, and not nearly low enough to do anything. And wow, okay, actually, that could drop. No, shortstop's gonna get there. Okay, well, that was a pretty bad inning. Good thing we already had a comfortable 3-0 lead, though. And you know what? I'm kind of glad it's still a save situation, because that means I can bring in Garrett Crochet for his first save of the season. Technically, another free agent signing we made in the offseason, although we were just bringing him back. But, you know, in the March to October offseason, there's no distinction between re-signings and free agent signings, so is basically another free agent acquisition in Garrett Crochet. And I guess also for anybody who might be new hopping onto the series now to start year 4, we started the series early enough before Garrett Crochet was officially a starting pitcher on the roster. So that's why he's a bullpen arm. He's been our closer, and he's racked up probably over 100 saves in our first 3 seasons. So as good as he became in real life as a starting pitcher, I would say he's probably just as good, if not even better, as the closer. Oh, and Hayes might actually not get there. I'm gonna dive, though. It didn't let me. Okay. Oh, and they're calling that there's a net there. How did it go out of play? That's the legend CPU sometimes, though. That one doesn't look like it's gonna get down, though. Hayes actually got a good break on that one. Okay, we got J-Ram down to 2 strikes. Of course, it had to come down to J-Ram. Oh, but Crochet doesn't care. I missed my spot, and it ended up in a better one. So there we go. Good vibes here to start season 4 by picking up an opening day shutout victory. 4 fireballs of momentum right off the bat. But now it's probably time to put my angry face on, because I gotta rant about these rosters again. All right, well, I guess first of all, let's see. We get our momentum fireball looking like it's in a good spot there, adding 4. I wonder, are we going to sim any games? We are actually going to sim the whole first series. Okay, sometimes they have you play game 2 right away. We win the New York series too, and we're going to be playing game 2 of a 4-game Tigers series. So I think we're, what, 5-2 to start? Projected wins didn't change. We're tied with the Tigers right now, but we are projected to beat them by plenty. So let's, you know, go ahead and handle them in this next game and never look back. But anyway, now the time has come for me to talk about the absolute dumbest CPU roster decision that I have ever seen in March to October, which that statement is really saying something, because there's been a lot of dumb roster things that happen in March to October ever since it expanded to a multi-season experience. So let's start by talking about the 2 still very dumb, but less dumb things that we did quickly touch on at the end of the offseason episode when we glanced at the rosters. And I also mentioned it in the game, but once again, Francisco Mejia, he's the only catcher on the roster. Now, honestly, if I remember back to last season, it didn't really have an adverse effect on him. And you can see here, I mean, 143 games played as a catcher is an insane workload, but he also had a career year. Like, he put up some good numbers. So I don't know, him being the only catcher on the roster, and potentially that doesn't bother me as much as it did last year, now that we kind of know that he can still be good, he can still play fine. And then to touch on the other dumb thing, probably the more dumb thing, and the dumb thing that I thought we left in the past, but now it's coming back to haunt us again like a recurring nightmare, but Davy Garcia is once again stuck in our bullpen. I've gone over this many times. He has all of his minor league options used up, so if we went to send him down, he'd have to pass through waivers or whatever in order to get sent down, and that would give other teams the chance to claim him. So the way that the game handles that this year is they just don't let you send him down. Really, I'm not as angry about that as I had been before, because of the new thing that I now have to be angry about. And this is something that I didn't notice until after I finished recording the off-season episode. But we had already known that Francisco Mejia was our only big league catcher. My hope at the time was that the prospect we've had ever since the beginning of this March to October, Edgar Caro, would get called up to be the backup catcher. It was kind of my plan for him to start to transition into a starting catcher role too. But then I come to the trade management screen, which is the only way you can look at your roster as a whole. I scroll over to the catchers, and Edgar Caro is nowhere to be seen. I really have no explanation for this. He's just gone. He's off the roster. The only thing I can potentially think of is he was finally eligible for the Rule 5 draft, and the CPU decided to prioritize keeping a guy like Davy Garcia around on the 40-man instead of taking him off, putting Edgar Caro on the 40-man. Maybe Edgar Caro got picked in the Rule 5 draft. But as I sit here on this screen, longtime viewers of this series might notice that somebody else is missing, because our second highest overall catcher is a 60 overall. So that means somebody's missing. And that somebody was our #1 pick in the year 1 draft. I think it was the 5th overall pick in that draft, because we had a good pick, because we were coming off of the White Sox being really bad in real life 2 seasons ago now. So this was the guy. This was the guy that I picked, that I was like, all right, we're going to build around him. He's going to be the future catcher. And inexplicably, he's not on our roster. At least I had some sort of theory to explain where Edgar Caro went. I have no idea how Connie Kang is no longer on our roster, because he's not Rule 5 eligible. He's still too young to be Rule 5 eligible, so he didn't need to be on our 40-man roster to keep him. And other than that, I genuinely have no clue how he's not on our roster. And whatever way that he's not on our roster, I have no idea how the CPU doesn't prioritize keeping around our #1 draft pick. And I don't know, this is just another issue that I've had with March to October, especially this season, where you just don't get the chance to control your rosters. And I get it. I get what the mode is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a casual season experience, and I guess, you know, now a multi-season experience. So they don't want to make you have to deal with renewing contracts and all that sort of off-season stuff that you would have to do in franchise. They want to make the experience more gameplay focused and not have you need to worry about things like this. But if the back end is so broken that I don't get to keep my #1 draft pick, then why is this a multi-season experience at all? Like, why are we having multiple seasons of March to October if this is just how it is? So I don't know. I don't want to rant too much about what I think the mode should be and the shortcomings of what it is now. That's a different conversation for a different day. It's just, for now, I'm really frustrated by this. But I guess that segues into what I'm talking about next, because I did, at least for the beginning of the season, set up the trade management stuff, and Connie Kang's the only player I have to target, because now, I mean, we do need to trade for a catcher, or we need a new catcher in some capacity, some sort of prospect catcher. So like, in that sense, it would make sense to try and get Connie Kang back, but it's also just the fact that I want him back because he's the guy I drafted. I want to see if the first player that I drafted in this series can turn into something. So for now, he's the only player I'm targeting. When it comes to team needs, I just have prospects selected. Positional needs, I only have catcher selected for now. And then as far as who I'm shopping, I only have 2 spots taken up. It's Davy Garcia to just try and get him off the roster. But then I also decided to shop Jordan Montgomery. He's on the last year of his contract when we signed him a couple off seasons ago. He's 34. But yeah, if we got rid of him, we just slot Grant Taylor into the starting rotation. So it's not really like we're losing a starting pitcher. We also have Dustin May, like I talked about. So my thought is maybe a Jordan Montgomery gives us a good chance at getting Connie Kang back. But I don't know, man. I'm still just really frustrated by the whole Connie Kang thing. And I know I've said in the past that when it comes to a multi-season March to October like this, you're just along for the ride. So it doesn't really help to get frustrated by things because there's nothing you can do about it. But I feel like ever since I said that for the first time, this game is just like continued to push the limits and just try and do things that are even more and more frustrating as it goes on. But I don't know. We got to win. We got to rant out of the way. I think I'm going to go ahead and end today's episode. Also, going forward, I think I'm going to shorten the episodes up a little bit just to give me a better chance at coming out with them more frequently. We kind of fell into a very slow pace when it came to the March to October over the last like month or so. So the hope is, as I shorten up these episodes, even if you're not seeing as much per episode, in the long run, we should be seeing more March to October because I can get the episodes out easier and more often. So then, yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. But thanks for coming back for another season of the White Sox March to October. Thanks for hanging out with me again, and I will see you next time.